Good afternoon. If y'all want to get ready, we'll start the hearing. It is human resources, isn't it? It's human. Good afternoon. It's good to see you, and I welcome you to the start of the 2015 amended Human Resources for the House and Human Development, I think is the name that the Senate has public hearing today. We are going to be talking about the amended 15. However, I know some people are here that probably will be back to see us with proposals for 16. So as we go through this, maybe we can let those who are here to make requests for 15, and then with time after that, give you a minute to just sort of introduce yourself and tell us you'll be back soon when we look at that one. So thank you so much. The first name we have on the list today is for Vicky Johnson. If you would come to the podium and talk to us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. I'm Vicky Johnson, a citizen volunteer serving as an appointed member and legislative chair of the Georgia Council on Aging. We have submitted a letter of testimony to your committees. The Georgia Council on Aging and the Coalition of Advocates for Georgia's Elderly, known as COAGE, respectfully request additional funding for both home and community-based services to Georgia's older adults and for enhanced investigation and prevention of elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Together, these services can contribute toward breaking the cycle of abuse, which is victimizing a growing and alarming number of Georgia's seniors. This funding can also help Georgia reach broader social goals, such as growing the economy, creating more consumer choice, and leveraging available resources through local support and public-private partnerships. Currently, there are over 13,200 seniors on a statewide waiting list to receive services in their homes and communities. It is far less costly to the state to provide these services directly to these seniors where they live than should these at-risk seniors go to long-term care facilities and begin qualifying for Medicaid-funded services. The average annual cost to the state for home and community-based services is $1,884 per person versus a cost of $13,200 annually for the state's share of Medicaid nursing home expenses. Currently, based on their health conditions, at least 82% of those on the waiting list already qualify to receive nursing home services. In fiscal year 2014, 470 seniors from the waiting list had to go into a nursing home at a cost of millions of dollars to the state. Based on this waiting list and on population growth projections for elders, COAGE sees a need for a $50 million increase in home and community-based services over the next 5 years. The FY 2015 budget includes a $750,000 increase in state funds for meals, which will bring relief to approximately 350 seniors on the waiting list. We also endorse the governor's proposal to add caseworkers to adult protective services. This is a 3-year commitment. The first installment came in FY 2015, and in 2016 he is proposing a similar $693,300 $333 funding increase. Georgia is seeing good results in its fight against elder abuse, and we need to continue to strengthen APS. Our recommendation, then, is to help end the wait for Georgia's vulnerable seniors. We can provide cost-effective services right in their homes and communities, dramatically improving the lives of these elders and their families, while at the same time strengthening our local economies through support for public-private service provider partnerships. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I so appreciate all that you and the council does to look out for us, and the elder abuse issue, no doubt, is so very important. Are there any questions from anyone?
May I please just request that for anyone speaking that you direct our attention to the page number in the book so we could kind of follow what your recommendation might be that might be different from the governor's. Thank you.
Okay. And I respectfully let you know that we will be back to talk about FY 2016 should that opportunity arise. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there another question? Did I miss a question? Yes, Senator.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Appreciate the testimony from COAGE, and just a quick question. You may have referenced this, but for further emphasis, do you all have projections on the growing need going forward, given how many aging Georgians there are, the huge baby boomer aging that's going on? Does COAGE provide that sort of information?
We have a population growth projection for Georgia's elders, and we're projecting that adults over age 65 will increase by 143% in the next 30 years, compared to 47% population increase for the whole state. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you so very much. Next, Ron Scroggie.
Good afternoon. I'm Ron Scroggie, and I represent Together Georgia. Together Georgia's trade association represents over 100 private providers of children and family services in the state of Georgia. Primarily, I'm here today to thank the governor and for his putting into the supplemental budget additional monies for the placement adjustments for out-of-home services, as well as additional case workers. I can tell you, previous to this role, I was state director of DFACS, and those enhancements are much needed and very much appreciated by those doing the work in the state. I also am here quickly to tell you that the child welfare sector is made up of both the public entities of DFACS and others, as well as the private sector. And in the coming week, I'll be coming back to talk with you about how I hope you will consider what's needed in the private sector as they do the work of DFACS and others, as those children are removed from their homes for safety reasons. We also are needing to be considered for some enhancements. But today, primarily and wholeheartedly, I want to just say to the committee, we really appreciate and thank the governor's work in putting the funds into the supplemental budget for additional caseworkers and for the needed placements outside of home. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions? We'll look forward to seeing you again soon then.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. John Blend. Okay, we'll check again in just a little bit. So Steve Neff.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Steve Neff. I represent the Georgia Association of Community Care Providers. We have about 350 providers that represent providers and take care of people with all of the services received within the waiver. So that might be home care, it might be assisted living, home delivered meals, developmental disabilities, those with physical disabilities. With regards to 2015, Representative Oliver, I don't have an exact budget item, but I did want to mention something to you on an exact page. Last year, I wanted to thank both of the bodies, obviously, for providing rate increases for home care. It was a 5% for PSS, and a 5% rate increase for assisted living, or what they call alternative living services. And thirdly, for ICWP, which is the Independent Care Waiver Program. They all received 5%, and it was wonderful, and they were implemented. The Developmental Disability Group, which is the now in comp waivers, also received at y'all's graces a 1.5% rate increase, but they have not been implemented as of yet. So I did want to bring that to your attention. The Department of Community Health isn't here to further explain that, but I'm sure they will be at the next. And we are diligently working with them to try to get that rate increase implemented moving forward. With regards to 2016, although we thank you very much for those rate increases, there are some providers I represent that haven't had rate increases in many years, 12, 14, 16 years, and that can be adult day, home delivered meals, respite, and others. And I'd like to come back in 2016 and have the opportunity to talk with you all about that.
That'll be great.
Any questions or comments?
Are there any questions from anyone? Not seeing any. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
we'll look forward to hearing more
Yes,
as we
ma'am,
go
Madam Chair.
toward 2016.
Thank you so much.
Matt Hicks.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Matt Hicks, and I'm with Grady Health System. I've brought with me a couple of providers that work in our sickle cell, comprehensive sickle cell center to make a request, and I'm going to let Janet Mores, who's a physician assistant in the center, present.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Janet Mores, and I'm the lead PA in the Grady Comprehensive Sickle Cell Center here in Georgia, the only one of its kind. We provide 24 hours, 7-day care for acute care patients with sickle cell pain crisis. We also have a clinic which we do quarterly health maintenance service for these patients, as well as their follow-up, be it monthly or the quarterly. We've seen a 20% increase in our patient population coming to our facility over the last fiscal years, 2011 to 2014. We also were approached by the state to provide more education on sickle cell and what does it mean to our patient, and we hence had to contract someone to represent us in providing this education needed. And with that said, we had to go in our budget to provide funds for payment for that person. So as a result, we were out additionally of our budget. And today I'm representing the Sickle Cell Center to say that we need additional funding. Our request mainly is to hire an additional nurse who would service and improve patient care and our throughput, basically. I thank you for taking the time to listen to us, and have a good day. Thank you.
And that's it. We'll take any questions. The request is for $50,000.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Oh, there's one. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Ott.
Yes, thank you. Matt, just a clarification, the statement was made that the state requested a component to do education on sickle cell. Did that request come from?
It came from the.
Give us a little background on
Yes, it came from the Georgia Department of Public Health, and we subcontract with the Georgia Sickle Cell Foundation to provide those services. The department saw a need for some additional education and outreach to families, particularly in the pediatric arena, and so we transferred funding to support those activities, and that's what we're looking to backfill.
Okay. I don't believe there are any other questions, so thank you so much for that information. Next, we have Dwayne Hathaway.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. You should have a handout. I'm Dwayne Hathaway with Georgia CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocates. We're the state nonprofit office for the 47 CASA affiliates throughout Georgia with over 2,200 volunteers. And what I would like to just speak briefly about is really appreciate the support we've gotten over the years, and especially last year for increasing our state funding. I'm before you today to ask you for some increase on the amended budget to help with the rising costs of criminal background checks for our volunteers. You can see on the sheet that since 2009, our volunteer criminal background check, which includes the GBI and FBI check, has increased over 50%. And the bulk of that increase was the fees for the GBI piece of the investigation. And so we would appreciate very much consideration for $50,000 to help offset some of those fees, especially this year and previous few years. So thank you very much. I will be back. We'll be back on several fronts. One is to support the governor's recommendation in the FY16 budget on the child welfare reform issues, and also to come back and talk to you about additional funding for Georgia CASA.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions? I don't see any, so, oh.
It's right up here.
It is. There are just a couple up here, so we'll hang on to one for you for afterwards. We'll make sure you get it. Seeing no questions, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to hearing what you bring to us for 2016 as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I believe Mr. Corder. Steve Corder. Great.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm here today representing SPAD, which is State Providers Association for Developmental Disabilities. And we, along with GOSSIP, support the community waivers in the state. We specifically support the NOW and COMP waivers. And two, I wanted to, as Stephen Neff did, thank you. We got a 1.5% increase approved through your committee last year, and ultimately through both the House and Senate, and it did stay in the budget, and we very much appreciate that. Up until that point, we had been 24 years without an increase other than 1.4% increase. We started doing the waiver in 1989 and have had only 1.4% increase, which is virtually unbelievable. So we will come see you again for the 2016 budget, and would look for your support then, and we'll share more information with you at that point. As Stephen Neff did mention, we are still awaiting our 1.5% increase, but we know that the DVHDD is working with CMS to have that approved, and then ultimately we hope be enacted very soon. So if there are any questions or anything I might clarify, I'd be glad to do that.
I do not see any. I'm just checking. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing
Thank
you soon.
Absolutely. John Blend, did Mr. Blend ever come in from Goshen Valley? Okay, well, that's everyone that has signed up. But if there's anyone else here in our audience that would like to speak or present that did not get to sign up, if you have something you want to share with us in the public hearing, especially regarding the 15 amended, we'd love to hear from you. If not, I think everybody's gotten word that there isn't a lot of money to move around. But I want to thank y'all so much. I know you are some of the greatest heartfelt providers in our state and the many places where you serve. So we will go to work and see what we can do on the 15 to help in any way possible. And then we'll be back to work on 16. Chairman Unterman, is there anything you'd like to say? Thank you so much. We will see y'all soon. Appreciate it. This concludes our meeting for today.